Hey YouTube, this is Steve from Average Joe's Fantasy Football, and welcome back to the channel. We are talking waiver wires to add for Week 5. Yes, we are a quarter away already into the season, and usually you kind of get an idea of where players are performing, teams, defenses that are actually struggling, maybe they're doing really well, and of course, obviously some waivers that are starting to pick up, especially with unfortunate injuries, and of course, bye weeks. So let's jump right into it. Week 5 the NFL is here. We had some great matchups over the weekend and throughout, obviously Thursday, 2 Monday night games. So again, really good stuff. Hope you guys came out with a victory, but we are talking Week 5. These are players that I really want to mention because these are players that are either going to help you deal with either injuries on your roster, or these are players that are trying to show up, get a little bit more target share, get a little more snaps, get a little more confidence in their teams. And of course, you've got some teams on a bye. So speaking of the bye weeks, you've got a few teams. You've got the Falcons, the Packers, the Bears, and the Steelers are all on a bye week. So some big names in there. You're talking Bijan Robinson, Josh Jacobs, right? You've got Drake London. You've got a couple quarterbacks like Caleb Williams, Metcalf. There's a lot of great players that will unfortunately not play this week. So hopefully these players I'm going to mention here will help you out, kind of navigate that. And again, depending on where your need is. Now, jumping into the first position, it's going to be the quarterback position. We got to give credit. I've talked about Matthew Stafford before. I mentioned him in another waiver wire video, but he is still out there in most leagues. He's available in 57% of leagues. Now, again, this is based off of Yahoo's format, and he has played really, really well. He's not getting the credit for whatever reason, and I'm not sure why, because right now Matthew Stafford's currently quarterback 12. In the last 2 weeks, you look at his performance, he had a up and down week of 13, then 17 points, then 13, and then again week 4, 27 points against the Indianapolis Colts, put up 378 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. He's played really, really well, and man, him and Puka Nacua have been outstanding. Now, he goes into a really good matchup this week, and I feel really, really good about this. Again, 57% of leagues still allow him to be on waivers, and if you're one of those teams that are affected with quarterback position, like maybe you had Caleb Williams, that are on bye, maybe you played Penix and you tried him out and he didn't really do well, he is an absolute must grab this week. Another quarterback I'm going to mention is going to be CJ Stroud. He's available in 45% of leagues, which is kind of odd to me because realistically, Stroud is not playing as great as Matthew Stafford, but for whatever reason, he continues to be rostered a lot heavier. Now, he is coming off a great week against Tennessee Titans. He had 18 fantasy points. He threw for over 230 yards. He had 2 touchdowns. Very clean game. Again, really good game out of them. But you're not going to look for that every single week. Let's be honest. CJ Stroud has had some up and downs. The offensive line has struggled. He really hasn't gotten the rapport with the rookie wide receivers he's got. Obviously, Nico Collins has done really well for him, but that's about it. And Nico isn't even his normal self. But I will say, you've got to grab him because, again, based off of injuries and different things going on in the quarterback space, CJ Stroud's a nice little one. Speaking of the Texans, I'm going to jump to the running back position. I've got Woody Marks. He's probably your number 1 player off of waivers. He's probably going to be the player you're going to spend the most fab on. He is the player that you want to grab this week. Now, Woody Marks obviously is a rookie who has started to ramp up in usage when it comes to this Texans offense. Nick Chubb is still there. Don't get me wrong. There's no new update with Joe Mixon. So Joe Mixon is expected to still be out for a while, but Woody Marks just surpassed Nick Chubb so far in fantasy points, and he just came off of a 27-point performance. He had 17 touches on the ground, 69 rushing yards, a touchdown on the ground, and a touchdown in the air. He was phenomenal. And again, his biggest growth is he's starting to see a lot more touches. He outsnapped Nick Chubb. He's out touching Nick Chubb. And again, high upside with 69% availability. So the availability is the biggest key right here. He might actually be a league winner if he continues to get even better. He's one of those players like, you talk about in past, seasons, a Bucky Irving who kind of came out of nowhere. These are players you want to try to grab as fast as you can. Another running back I actually don't mind grabbing, especially if you're a Tony Pollard owner, is Tyjae Spears. Yes, he is on IR, but he should be back this week. That is what we're expecting. Even if he's not, he's still worth maybe grabbing and stashing him on your IR spot if you've got one. He's available in 68% of leagues. He did really, really well last season, and I get it. I hate touching a backfield where there's multiple running backs that may get some opportunities. And obviously with Tyjae Spears coming back, Tony Pollard's value is going to diminish. Let's be honest. With that said, though, I do think they're going to utilize both running backs. That's what they did last season, and they both still did really, really well. But if you're in a deeper league, maybe you need to kind of fill that spot, or if you've got Tony Pollard and you need to handcuff him, Tyjae Spears is a great little add this week. And speaking of a handcuff that may actually end up becoming a big deal is Rachaad White. Right now, we're waiting to hear about the MRI with Bucky Irving. Bucky Irving is obviously their star for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Rachaad White obviously did really well before Bucky became a thing, right? And people kind of forget about that. But with that said, if the injury does end up being something that maybe takes Bucky out a week or two, Rachaad White is an absolute must grab. So if you're an Irving owner, or if you just want to get a running back just to kind of, stash in there just in case, he's available in 60% of leagues, and he's been able to be a very, very solid running back. Nothing super crazy, a really solid flex, maybe a low RB2, but he's another running back you may want to consider adding. Now, jumping to the wide receiver position, I wouldn't say there's a wide receiver you absolutely must add this week, but I am going to mention Khalil Shakir. He's available in only 25% of leagues, so the likelihood of being available is a little bit lower, but you do want to grab him. He's scored in the last 2 weeks. He's starting to get a little bit more targets his way. I will say this with the Buffalo Bills offense. You don't know who's really going to get the ball. You got Keon Coleman, you got Shakir. Like, they're really spreading this ball around. Kincaid, Knox. There's just too many options, but I will say if you're going to need a player with, I guess, a little bit of upside, maybe you want to put him in the flex or something like that, I do think Shakir is somebody you want to grab. Now, one wide receiver who may actually end up becoming something big is Wan'Dale Robinson. You could almost say the same thing with Darius Slayton, and I actually don't mind him as a pickup either. With the unfortunate news with Malik Neighbors being out essentially for this season, Malik Neighbors obviously being as a torn ACL, Robinson is obviously the obvious one, right? He's available in 51% of leagues. He's had some really good games. He gets targeted heavily, big slot player. Darius Slayton actually might be the little sleeper here, just because a little bit bigger body. He'll probably be more likely in the spot that Malik Neighbors played in. We'll see how things play out. You still got the rookie in Jackson Dart. He's still going to be targeting these receivers a lot, and I think Robinson actually ends up being the winner out of that one, just because, again, a lot of quarterbacks love the slot player. They like that comfortability, that guy who's going 5 to 10 yards, not going super crazy down the field. And another wide receiver I want to mention is Malik Washington for the Dolphins. Now, unfortunately, if you guys have watched the Monday night game, there was a very gruesome injury to Tyreek Hill. And hopefully it's nothing super crazy that ends his career or anything. Hopefully it's just something minor. But the way that looked was pretty bad. With that said, there's a chance that Tyreek Hill is going to be out for the season. The player that actually might end up taking advantage of that is Malik Washington. Obviously, Jalen Waddle is going to be the next guy in line, but Jalen Waddle is not available in most leagues. Malik Washington is. He's available in 96% of leagues, and they love using him all over the field. Slot, rushing, whatever the case may be, they want to get him and having that ball in his hands. So again, deep leagues, we'll see what happens with the injury. Malik Washington might be a player you want to grab. Now, jumping to the tight end position, Darren Waller, sticking with the Dolphins, actually played amazing in 2 touchdowns in the Monday night game. Came off his injury, came off the rust, and just looked like his normal self. Now, expect some snaps to kind of slowly increase. He obviously wasn't going to get a lot in this Monday night game just because obviously he's coming off an injury and essentially retirement. But Darren Waller is a nice little option if you're especially streaming tight ends every single week. He's available in 94% of leagues. We do expect this offense to try to just throw the ball. And then again, like I mentioned, with Tyreek Hill being out, there's a chance that Waller ends up being the one that helps take advantage of that, getting a few more snaps and, of course, receptions and targets his way. So I really like him. And now this player, Kyle Pitts, I'm going to mention, not available to play this week, but he is available in 34% of waivers. I get it. We're all kind of in that Kyle Pitts fatigue. Is he going to be the guy that we all hoped he would? He's shown flashes. Great game, obviously, week 4. Had an amazing one. And he had a great game in week 1, but then he kind of fizzles. That is something you are going to have to live and die with when it comes to Kyle Pitts. But as far as the tight end position, there's probably maybe 5 or 6 guys you can put in every single week and feel really good about it. The other is you're kind of playing the guessing game, and Kyle Pitts is a great guessing game to add just because their offense, they're going to throw, their defense is still kind of figuring itself out, so they might be playing from behind. So I really like him there. Now jumping into the kickers, I've got 2 kickers I want to mention. Obviously there's probably more, but I like these 2 kickers. You got Matt Gay and you got Jason Myers, both available in 80% or more in leagues. Both kickers obviously have big legs. They've been able to deliver. They're having amazing weeks the last few weeks. And again, the matchups look really good where they're probably going to have a lot more opportunities to kick some field goals, whether it be, that simple 30-yarder or maybe even that 50-yarder like Jason Myers was able to do last week. So again, I like both of those guys. And then on the defensive special team side, if you're needing to play or pick up one of those guys and maybe you're streaming Miami's defense, I actually like 95% available. They actually played really well against the Jets, creating a few turnovers, and actually did a great job. Again, not super crazy about their matchup, but it's not a bad matchup. I think they actually are able to take advantage of it this week. And then the other team is going to Seattle. Seattle's got a little bit of a tougher matchup against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but they're available in 43% of leagues, and Seattle's done a really good job, if you look at their points every single week, getting sacks, whatever the case may be, keeping teams low scoring. Their defense is actually really good. Now, the matchup, like I said, I'm not crazy about against Tampa, but if you are looking for a defense, especially holding on for a little bit longer, I really like Seattle. So those are my week 5 waiver wire ads that you should consider putting on your roster. Now, of course, if you have questions, hit me in the comments down below. I will obviously be putting in my start and sit videos this week to make sure you guys are prepared. We got a Thursday night game, a really early Sunday night game, or Sunday morning game, and then of course you got the rest of the lineups between 1, 4, and so on. So again, if you guys are new, make sure you guys are subscribed, hit that like button, hit me up in the comments down below, and I'll check you guys out next time.